The message arrived at exactly 11:47 p.m. 3 words. You die tomorrow. No name. No profile picture. Just a text message. And somehow, it came from my own phone number. At first, I thought it was some kind of glitch. A prank. Maybe a bug from my carrier. But when I tried calling the number back, my own phone started ringing. And that's when things became disturbing, because the next message arrived only seconds later. Stop calling. You're wasting time. I froze. My apartment was silent except for the ticking clock hanging above the kitchen counter. Outside, rain tapped softly against the windows. Everything felt normal. Yet suddenly, nothing felt normal at all. The person texting me knew things they shouldn't. And before sunrise, they would prove it. What happened over the next 24 hours would leave one question that still haunts me today. Who was really sending those messages, and how did they know exactly how I was going to die? My name is Ethan. At the time, I was 29 years old and living alone in a small apartment outside Manchester. Nothing unusual had happened in my life recently. No enemies, no threats, no strange incidents, just work, sleep, repeat. The night the messages started, I had spent most of the evening editing spreadsheets for a client. By 11 o'clock, I was exhausted. I made coffee, sat down on my couch, and started scrolling through social media. That's when my phone buzzed. The first message appeared. You die tomorrow. I laughed. Honestly, I did. The message felt ridiculous. Somebody was obviously messing with me. Then I noticed the sender. My own number. The same number saved in my contacts. The same number printed on my monthly bill. A chill crawled down my spine. I checked twice, then 3 times. It was definitely mine. I tried replying. Who is this? The answer arrived instantly. You already know. I stared at the screen, confused. Then another message appeared. Tomorrow, 8:14 p.m. Nothing else. No explanation, no context, just a time. At first it seemed normal, until the next morning, because at exactly 7:03 a.m., another message arrived. Do not take Oak Street. I frowned. Oak Street was part of my usual route to work. The text made no sense. Still, curiosity got the better of me, so I avoided it. Instead, I took a longer route through the city. An hour later, my co-worker rushed into the office. His face looked pale, shaken. He pulled out his phone and showed everyone a news alert. A gas explosion had ripped through a building on Oak Street. Several people were injured. The explosion happened at 7:08 a.m. 5 minutes after I would have been there. I felt my stomach tighten. Suddenly, the messages didn't feel like a prank anymore. But what happened next was even stranger. At lunchtime, another text arrived. Don't drink the coffee. I looked down. A fresh cup sat beside my keyboard, still steaming. I hesitated, then dumped it into the sink. A few hours later, a company-wide email was sent. The office coffee machine had malfunctioned. Several employees reported severe stomach illness after using it. Now I couldn't ignore the pattern. The messages weren't guessing. They were predicting. And somehow, they were always right. By that evening, fear had replaced curiosity. I locked my apartment door, closed every curtain, and waited. At 9:16 p.m., another text arrived. Someone is watching your window. I nearly dropped the phone. Slowly, I turned toward the glass. The curtains were closed, but there was a narrow gap, just enough to see outside. My heart pounded as I moved closer. The street below looked empty, dark, silent. Then I saw it. A figure standing beneath a street lamp, motionless, looking directly toward my building. I blinked. The figure didn't move, didn't react, just stood there. Watching, I grabbed my phone to take a photo, but when I looked back, the figure was gone. No footsteps, no car, nothing. As if it had never existed. That night, sleep was impossible. Every creak of the floorboards sounded wrong. Every shadow seemed alive. And shortly after midnight, the messages became more personal. "You still keep her photograph." I sat upright. My blood ran cold. The photograph was hidden inside a drawer, a picture of my younger sister. She had died 6 years earlier. Nobody knew I still kept it. Nobody. Another message appeared. "You blame yourself." I stopped breathing because it was true. I had blamed myself every day since the accident. The texts weren't just predicting events anymore. They knew my secrets. Things I had never told anyone. That's when things became disturbing in a way I can't fully explain. The sender knew me better than I knew myself, and they seemed desperate for me to understand something. At 2:31 a.m., a new message appeared. "Check the closet." I didn't want to. Clothes, shoes, storage boxes. Then my flashlight caught something hidden behind an old suitcase. A small black notebook. I had never seen it before. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside were dozens of entries. Every page described events from my life. School memories, birthdays, relationships, private conversations, even thoughts I had never spoken aloud. The final entry stopped me cold. It was dated tomorrow, and it contained only one sentence. 8:14 p.m. Bridge collapse. Fatality confirmed. My mouth went dry. The same time from the text message. 8:14 p.m. Tomorrow. Fatality confirmed. Me. According to whoever wrote this notebook, I was already dead. Morning arrived, then afternoon. The hours passed painfully slowly. I considered calling the police, but what would I tell them? That my future self was texting me from my own number, that a notebook predicted my death. Nobody would believe it. By evening, I was exhausted, terrified, and running out of options. At 7:42 p.m., another message arrived. "Stay away from the river bridge." I immediately understood. The bridge from the notebook. The place where I was supposed to die. Relief washed over me. All I had to do was avoid it. Simple. But then another text appeared. "No matter what happens, do not answer unknown calls." I frowned. The warning seemed random, yet every previous message had been accurate, so I agreed to follow it. At exactly 8:01 p.m., my phone rang. Unknown number. I ignored it. The phone rang again, and again, then again. 7 calls in less than 3 minutes. Something felt wrong, desperate, almost urgent. Then a voicemail appeared. Against my better judgment, I listened. Static filled the speaker. Heavy breathing. Then a voice. My voice. Broken, panicked, terrified. "Don't go home. Please. If you're hearing this, don't go home." The recording ended. I stood frozen. The timestamp showed the voicemail had been left tomorrow. Tomorrow. A message from the future. My future. And suddenly everything clicked. The texts weren't threatening me. They were warning me, trying to save me. I wasn't talking to a stranger. I was talking to myself. But what happened next was even stranger. At 8:10 p.m., another text appeared. Only 4 words. "You're already too late." My stomach dropped. At that exact moment, I heard a noise behind me. A faint creak. Inside my apartment. I wasn't alone. Slowly I turned. The hallway was dark, silent. Then a shadow moved. A person stepped forward. Tall, thin, wearing a black raincoat. I couldn't see their face. For a second, neither of us moved. Then they ran, straight toward me. Instinct took over. I bolted for the door, raced down the stairs, burst into the street. Behind me, footsteps echoed through the darkness, getting closer, faster. I sprinted toward the river, toward the bridge. The same bridge I had spent all day trying to avoid. Rain hammered the pavement. The city lights blurred. And suddenly, I understood the terrible truth. Every warning had led me here. Every message, every choice, every attempt to escape. The future hadn't been preventing my death. It had been guiding me toward it. I reached the center of the bridge at exactly 8:14 p.m. And then I heard the crack, a sound like thunder beneath my feet. Metal screamed, concrete shattered, the bridge began collapsing, the world tilted violently, people screamed, cars slid sideways, everything fell. For one horrifying moment, I felt weightless. Then darkness swallowed everything. 3 days later, rescue teams recovered dozens of victims from the river. Official reports blamed structural failure, an unfortunate tragedy. Nothing supernatural, nothing unexplained. But investigators discovered something unusual. My phone, still functioning, still locked, still receiving messages. The final text arrived hours after my death. There was no sender, no number, no source, only 6 chilling words. The next message isn't for you. And according to records, that message was immediately forwarded to another phone, another number, another person, somewhere out there. A stranger may have just received a text, a message from their own number, warning them about tomorrow. And if that happens, the real question isn't whether they'll believe it. The real question is this: will they be able to change what's coming? Or will they discover what I did? That some futures don't warn you because they can be changed. They warn you because they're already happening.